Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are going to be renovating this disgusting starter home in The Sims 4. Now, as an actual apartment goes, it's not that bad, but compared to all of the other apartments and just in general, all of the colour matching and the different textures, it is just not a very good apartment building. So we are going to be renovating this one right here. Hopefully we can make it a little bit nicer. I want to try and keep to it being quite cheap so that it's still something that you can move into in city living pretty quickly. But let's get to work, and I will be uploading it on the gallery after under HextraHunt so you guys can download it. So this is 131021 Chic Street. So let's crack on and see what we need to fix about it. So I think the main thing that always bothered me about this apartment is this random chair in the corner that's just looking out over the rest of the city. Cute idea, but who really is going to be sitting there? And it's kind of like right next to this cupboard here. We've got this absolutely tiny one person like room as well. I'm going to stick to it being a 2-bed. I'm not going to change that because I think that will drastically sort of change the value of it as well. I'm not a big fan of like this random living room in the middle with this gross looking tarp like just sitting in the middle of the floor. The kitchen has like little to be desired as well. I'm not a big fan of this like flooring that they've picked in here. And then obviously we've got this like fully tiled like bathroom as well. So it is like quite cheap, kind of dull, dark looking. So I'm literally going to start by just wiping the entire thing and we're going to start from scratch. Do want, I think, a more open layout. We had the bathroom here and then it immediately kind of went into a bedroom over here in the last one. And then we had sort of a combined kitchen like living room area, which I want to try and like open that up a bit. So I think we're going to stick to this area here being our entire like living and kitchen area instead of having the bathroom there. We then need to try and work out if we can think of a nice way to do the rest of it. So what I'm thinking is that we can have our bathroom maybe coming off here. Doesn't necessarily need to have any like open windows or anything in there. Ideally, I would like maybe we could do it like this. I'm trying to think of a way that gives us the most amount of space in each of the rooms without wasting it. I think what we can do instead is actually make it a bit of a hallway. So I'm going to do it like that, and then we can have this being our little hallway that leads us through to the end of the corridor. Bit of a weird different shape, but I don't think it looks as bad as before, and then that'll give us space to add in a bath, shower, and then our toilet and our sink on that side, and then we have a wider bedroom, which is the bit that I think is quite important, is that the other one was literally like 2 squares and had a little bit that went bigger at the end and it just didn't look that great. Whereas this one, we've got a much like sort of larger like bed space. We can still fit a double bed in there without it being a problem and having people having to scooch over. But then we do open up this whole area over here to be our living / kitchen area. So for our walls, I am thinking just going with something a little bit more simplistic. I think any of these should be quite good because they do have that border around them. Makes them feel a little bit more elegant, even though they're only 2 simoleons. If we upgraded to even just having them without, it would end up being 4. So we can make it a little bit cheaper just by going with these. I do prefer lighter colours, but I'm half tempted to go a little bit more like extravagant with it. But I don't know if we're going to be able to do the furniture to match that. I might go with just these nice grey walls. I think we should put in some lighting though now that we've finally got the layout for the apartment down. So I'm just going to go with the cheapest ones for the minute, which are just these like little 50 costing sort of bright lights. I think they do a good job of lighting up the entire space without it being too expensive, and I do like a quite bright space to begin with. We can decide later whether we want to go into sort of like warmer toned lightings, but I think that's fine for now. Okay, and then for our living space, I think I'm going to go with this sort of purpley grey colour, just because it's a bit of a nice neutral tone and it doesn't distract away too much from whatever we're going to end up putting in there. I will use probably the same ones in the other rooms, but we'll add a splash of colour into those ones. We can maybe make one of them a bit purple, kind of matches with what we've picked over here. Following along from that same kind of colour scheme, I think we'll do orange in this one over here. For our bathroom, I'm just going to pick these nice white tiles because these are the cheapest tiles anyway, and I think that they should be absolutely fine for it. All the other ones are like these weird different colours, and I'm just not a massive fan of them. Obviously, that takes us to our flooring. So my favourite flooring to use is often just wooden floorings. We do have these, which are literally just white wood. I think compared to the ones that I think it had these last time, which just don't look that great. They look better in white. The thing is, they're literally the same colour as these, so that's why I'm like, I don't understand why they do a lot of these like cheaper houses and they just don't look great when they're literally like the same price for nicer wood everywhere else. I'm going to go with carpet in these rooms though. We will go with probably, we can go with wood in here maybe. It'll be a slightly different angle though. Or we can just line it up. Yeah, no, that looks fine lining it up. So I want to go with just a white carpet, I think, in the other ones. White carpet isn't always the best idea. Or we could go with grey. It just doesn't look that nice. Though you have a look again for the carpet, we could go with the nice carpet from the Pastel Pop set for literally the same price as this like plush carpet that comes in here. So we may as well go with this one. It looks a lot nicer as well, looks a lot newer. I might go with it just in this one, and I'm actually half tempted to just use wood in this other room because we don't necessarily need it in both rooms. This is actually looking like such a like sort of cute house at the moment. I need to like try and like make it look a little bit more maybe just lived in. We can then obviously go in and do our layout for our doors and everything else. I'm just going to use this one because it's literally like the cheapest door. If we went with these, they're kind of like cottage core. They don't really fit, but we can again have a look. So this is 40. For 10 more, we could get this door, which this one's actually like a lot nicer and kind of fits with the vibe of the place a little bit better. So I think I'm going to go with that one. And for literally just 3 more, because we're only adding 30 simoleons more, because we're only adding 3 doors, it ends up looking much nicer than just like saving a little bit of cash and getting the 40. Obviously I'm putting them all in this hallway. I could put them down here, but I think we open up the space a lot better by not having additional doors across these rooms. It then leaves this whole area feeling a little bit more like cared for when it comes to the living space. I'm going to go ahead and add in our windows back in now. I am tempted to just add in the same windows that are down here just to make it all match. Part of me does want to kind of just mix it up though so that we have nicer windows. I'm going to mix it up a little bit, and I'm actually going to add in these ones just because they weirdly let in like more light than all of the other windows. I don't really know how they do that, but that's what we're going to do. I'm also actually going to switch out where they're placed. So this one has big windows here, here, and here, and I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going to invert it a bit so that we're actually taking away a little bit of it, but it's going to give us more wall space. I will though add the double windows into these 2 end parts, and I'm going to add it over here as well just so that we have even more sort of natural lighting coming into this end section. So what we've kind of done is do like alternating to what's in every other apartment, but it's fine. It still looks pretty good, and it lets in all of this natural lighting into all of these rooms here. So we can go ahead and start decorating now. So what I was kind of thinking is that we can have a kitchen here, maybe a U shape, so that we can have a like breakfast bar type bit in this section that then leads us into the living area that's over here. We can then also add in some little coat racks or something on this side just as you enter through the front door. So obviously cheaper is better. We could go with these very cheap countertops here. They don't look particularly nice, obviously, because they're meant to be the cheapest, but let's see what else is like similar in price. So there are 100 simoleons used. For 120 we can get the ones from the horse ranch pack. 150 it then goes up even further, so half of me is tempted to use these ones. Again though, these do look kind of rustic and don't particularly go with this like nice like sort of sleek frames that we have all around the wallpaper. So then we have to make a decision on whether we want to go with these ones. Actually wait, are they the same? No, they are quite a bit more expensive to go with the other ones. So we've got either these or these, and we'll be adding 1, 2, 3 and then 2 like side sections. So we'll be adding like 5 of them in. So if we use the used ones it'd be 500. If we use the new ones it'd be 750. So we're spending an additional 250 to get an additional cabinet. I'm feeling like because this is a little bit of a cheaper one, we can go cheaper when it comes to these cabinets. It's not like absolutely awful, and they do actually match the color palette that we've got on our walls quite well. We don't need like a mad amount of them. I'm going to put a fridge here, I think, and then we can have our oven here. So let's find those things now. Obviously we do have our cheaper looking fridge. It is jank. I would rather pay like an additional 100 and something just to have a slightly nicer looking fridge, to be honest. Same with the oven. I think if we have a look at the oven, it just looks super ratty. I literally hadn't like my oven in my last place looked exactly the same as that, so it is realistic. I have to say that it's definitely realistic, but it just does not look very good. I mean, to be honest, like even the one up from that doesn't look amazing, but the price difference between this one which is 400 and this one which is 600, the one up from that just doesn't really equal a good amount, so I think we're gonna have to go with that. We can either then add in an additional one to make the kitchen feel a little bit bit bigger, or we can push it a bit, and I just don't think we have the space really to add in an additional one, so our kitchen's just going to have to be really small. I will be using just the cheapest sink though. Actually no, we can use the one up from that. Just literally they're like 5 simoleons difference, so that's fine. And you could complain and say that this kitchen is absolutely tiny, but my kitchen was actually smaller than this when I used to live in a high-rise building. It didn't have this countertop section, it basically just had this corner. Then of course we're going to add in our vent system. I want to add something back here as well that makes it look a little bit nicer. So what I think I'm going to do is just add a shelf and then add a couple of items on top. There you go, so I just added a few little bits onto this shelf up here. I did pick some sort of cheaper items just to make it work a bit. I also added some little pots and things to this corner so that it felt a little bit more used. Then we go ahead and add in our seating over here so that we have somewhere to eat. This also enables it so that we don't necessarily need a dining table. We can use the rest of the space for just like sofas and things. So we've added in our chairs. We can then add in a bin as well. I'm just going to literally add it right next to this counter here. If you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to like, share and subscribe. I think that's looking pretty good. We can then move on to our living area, which we have this whole section here. Now is the idea to try and think about where we want all our seating and things. So obviously we do kind of want a TV, so I'm thinking we keep the TV over here and then we could put a sofa here. That also enables you, potentially if this was real, to sit here and also watch the TV up there. Technically it would be better if the TV was here for if you're sitting here, but obviously then we could only put like a 2-person seat there, and I don't know if you'd be able to get to that chair. Just going to go with this very classic sofa just for this corner. It matches the kitchen quite well in terms of its colours, and it still looks quite nice, whereas if we go with all the other ones, they definitely look like cheaper sofas. Going to go ahead and add a picture behind the sofa. The picture is annoyingly, like photos and things in this are what really drive the price, so I'm going to try and find something that's not like super expensive. I do quite like these ones from the Horse Ranch pack just because they are quite cheap as well. They're literally like 125 for a picture, and it ends up being quite a big picture, and I think it's just really pretty. Now I am half tempted by the TV from the tiny living pack, just because we could pick this one that sits on the ground, but then we'll need a accent table as well. Let's see this kind of price difference. So it's 1,400, which is still quite expensive, but then it raises it by about like 800 to get the additional one there. So it probably is cheaper to get just like a counter or something. Like this one's really pretty, and it's only 55 simoleons. So we're gonna go with that one, then we can add the TV on top. The trick that I always use is that we can just add the TV and then make it bigger using the bracket key, and then it looks like it's a more expensive TV, even though it still is only like the cheapest TV that you can get. Well, almost cheapest. I'm gonna make it feel a little bit more realistic as well, just by angling it ever so slightly so that then you can see it a little bit better from there as well. Additionally, I think we need a rug just directly in front of her, and even like a coffee table might actually be a good idea, just because we can't fit a side table here. I'm thinking like this one might be okay. Let's have a look. It might be a little bit too small, to be honest, especially if we're adding a coffee table as well. Yeah, it's a little bit too small. I think this one's actually pretty good because it fits perfectly in front of this window here. We could also go with it in a lighter color. I'm trying to think what, to be honest, the dark one actually does work quite well. We do also have this one, but I think the pattern's just a bit odd. So let's go with this darker blue. I think that looks pretty nice. Then let's have a look and see whether we can find a nice coffee table. There is like this big one here, but I think it's just a little bit too big for the space. Alternatively, we can literally just get like a small one like this, which kind of works. Or we can pick this one. Let's have a look difference between the two. I think the little one weirdly works better. It looks a little bit more unique in the space. I think we do need some more plants around this room, to be honest. I might put a plant over here, or we could put one right next to the TV. I'm going to add one on this countertop over here. Then this one's quite cheap, so I'm half tempted to add it in, but it also takes up quite a bit of space. Let's see if we make it smaller. Yeah, that looks quite nice. I like that. We do have like some wall space and stuff as well, but it just does cost quite a bit to add things to the wall, so I'm trying to bear that in mind. We do have the ones that go perfectly with kitchens, which are like apples and pears, so I could include those, or we've got this little one here. This one's quite cute. I kind of like that one. I might add that there. Then I think we've finally just got this little section over here where I wanted to add like a coat rack or something. We can just add a little white one here. And then I wanted to add some shoes to the ground. And I'm just going to like freehand those, I think. We'll just add 2 sets. There we go. I think that looks pretty good for our living and like kitchen space. Let's move over and do our bathroom next. So obviously for this one, we're going to go a little bit cheaper. I'm going to go just literally the cheapest that you can get for all of these. I do want a bath slash shower, so that is going to be a little bit more expensive, but I'm going to go with the cheapest one of these. So I think I'm going to go with this one, just because I think it's always a good upgrade to have a bath shower in there. Then finally for decorations, we can just go with simple stuff like mirrors. I think I could also add a plant somewhere, might make it look a little bit nicer. I don't know where I would add it though, and there's no windows, so the plant would probably die. I could just add it like there. Does that look a bit weird? It does look a bit weird. I think this room just needs like a little bit more colour. Add our towel over here, and then maybe just like a little picture or something above the toilet. Might make it feel a little bit nicer. Might actually put this one in here, and we'll go back and do the apple one in this room. There we go. We've got like this little combination apple and pear. Yeah, that looks good. Cool. So then we've got our bathroom done. We kept it quite simplistic just to try and keep the price down. Then we can move into our bedrooms. So we've got this first bedroom, which I'm going to stick to what it had in the previous ones, where we've got a double bed in here, and then we've got a single bed in here. Alternatively, this could be a bit more of a kids room. I do kind of prefer them to be kids rooms, to be honest, just because when you make it a kids room, then it feels like it's a good starter home for moving in and having your first child. To keep it realistic to what it was originally, I think we should keep it as a single bed this time, but obviously you can amend it if you would like to. I think I'm going to pick this bed because it's cheap, but it's still like quite pretty, and it matches, I think, the colours that we've kind of picked already. This like soft brown colour here. Then we need a wardrobe right at the end. I'm going to go with this one just because it's a little bit cheaper, and it's like got this really nice like rounded wooden texture, which I think goes with the sort of soft design of this flat. Then I think we need a little side table next to this bed here. Could just go with something like this, which I think also fits with that soft round design. Then we want a few decorations, so I think I'm going to add a candle, and then I also kind of want to add a plant too, because I don't think we've added enough plants into this. Then we do have this really nice window over here, so what I'm thinking is we could add in a little desk so that you could then look out and see all of this beautiful view while you're working. So one of the cheaper desks that we can pick is this one, but unfortunately it does look quite new compared to this cabinet that we've picked, so I might change this out to something else. But actually just go with this one because this one's quite modern looking. That then also gives us a little space that we can add decorations to. Just going to add some magazines and then a little picture to it. Then for our desk, I've just added a plant and some files just because they're free. And then for our desk chair, I think something, again, quite simple, but we can probably do something a bit cuter. This one's 80. We can get it in this cute pink colour. How does that look? I think it's a little bit too cutesy, to be honest. We could just go with like something that's grey maybe. I feel like this one works because of the rounded design again. Yeah, and then I think that's pretty good. We could include a picture, but again, the pictures do increase the price quite a bit. So let's see if I can find one that's like kind of cheap. We do have this like calendar that we could include just here or something to add a little bit something to the walls. Go with that one because then it feels like it's fleshed out a little bit more. Then let's move on to our last bedroom, which is this nice big bedroom here. This one obviously is going to feel a little bit more grown up. I kind of picture that you might move into this space if you have like a teenager. So obviously previously they had the cheapest like used used like double bed, which I think is this one, and we're going to go with that again just because it is the cheapest. And then I've got to kind of work out where I want to put it because I was contemplating putting it here, but I don't know how that looks. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. You do have a window directly behind you, though. I'm half tempted to actually just remove it altogether. Gives you, like, a little bit more privacy, I think, and you don't have bright light shining in directly from behind you, which I think is a little bit nicer. We can then add maybe 2 little lights either side there. I'm going to do that just with maybe these ones. Yeah, I feel like that kind of works. We can just do 2 of those there, and then I might add a little picture or something directly above. Oh, actually, I know what we can add in that other room. A mirror on the wall, if we can get like a cheap one. This is, I think, the cheapest one. It doesn't look too bad. How much is that? 40. That's all right. So we'll add that one there just to add a bit more to it. And then up here, I think we need a picture in the middle of these lights here. We could go with the same kind of picture we picked last time, or we can mix it up and go with something like this. This one's a bit childy though still. I quite like this one. I think this one's just like quite simplistic compared to the other designs. It works quite well though, I think, so that's fine. We can then add our wardrobe to this end over here. I'm thinking about going with something a bit more simplistic just like that, because that one's I think quite cheap. Yeah, it's only 240 for just like this nice white like wardrobe. And then just add a couple of bits to it. So I'm thinking we just add plant maybe. I don't know if there's anything else that I particularly want to add on top of it. We could add another picture, but think it kind of looks fine. We definitely need an additional mirror. I do want to do a floor floor mirror, I think, or we could do a big mirror that just stands at the end here. That actually looks really nice. I like that. That makes it look like much more luxurious. How much is that though? 150. It's not too bad. Then let's definitely add a rug as well, just to make it feel more comfortable. We do have quite a lot of space still in this room, so I'm just gonna have a look and see if there's anything else that I can add to it. But the wall space itself is like kind of annoying the way that it's laid out. I wish I'd laid it out a little bit better. I think I'm just gonna go with this light brown one. That kind of looks the best in this room. And then I think here I want to put like a bookcase or something. Or we could do a bookcase on this side and then do a seat or something on the other side. But the bookcase is going to have to be really small. We could go with one that just hangs on the wall. Something like that kind of works. Or we could go with like this one. I think that one's actually better. I think it's cheaper as well. Yeah, we'll go with that one. And then I'll add just a little seat here. Could even just add like a beanbag. Again, then I've added a little side table. And then I'm going to add a light on top of it as well, just to add some more lighting while you're reading. Just going to go with something a bit more simplistic though. I think that we'll just go with like that one. I do kind of want to add some like a side table or something to these, but that is going to up price a little bit, which is annoying. Might just leave it just so that we can try and keep it a little bit cheaper. Then I think finally I'm just going to add in this little picture here just because it's a little bit like, it's not that expensive, and I think it adds to these wall spaces that are a bit bare at the minute. But there we go. I think that's all done then. And there we have our redo of 131021 Chic Street. So the weekly rent has not gone up. It's still 500 simoleons with a deposit of 1,000 simoleons. The furnishings were originally 9,070 simoleons, and they've only gone up to 13,680 simoleons. So luckily it is still basically the perfect starter home for you guys. I think it looks so much nicer than it did previously, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think that this place is better than the last? Be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already. I post long content like this every Wednesday and Friday around 6 PM, and I also post shorts the rest of the week. This is under the gallery under HextraHunt, so check it out if you'd like to include this in your game, and I hope you all have a great evening.